What is up, everybody? The New Orleans Saints now have 8 losses on the season after losing to the LA Rams Sunday. And on a day where the division leader, Atlanta Falcons, also lost, the Saints had a huge opportunity to pull within one game of the divisional lead in the NFC South, and they did not take advantage of it. They lost to the Rams. It was a good kind of back and forth game. Two teams that are kind of evenly matched. The Rams aren't having a great season as well, but the Saints just could not finish strong, could not pull it off, despite shutting the Rams out in the first half of this game. I thought they moved the ball well, but they just had a problem with finishing drives and putting 6, 7 points on the board. And they had to elect to kick more field goals than they would have liked, right? And of course, it also doesn't help when you miss one of those field goals. So today, let's take a look at some of the plays from the offense where I think, they just left a lot of meat on the bones. All right, this first play I want to look at here. This is on a 2nd down and 8, I believe, and it's early in the first quarter still. But this is a play that it killed the drive, right? Because the very next play, Derek Carr he almost fumbles, and it's the play that they took it all the way back, but they reviewed it and said his arm was going forward. Whatever, the drive was stalled, right? And this is a play where a decent chunk of yardage was open, if not for a couple of different reasons. So what are they doing here, right? The Saints. Again, 2nd down and 8, 2nd down and 9, one of the two. They're going to run a Hank concept, right? What is that? So we're going to get the tight end over the middle on this little over or sit or hook route. Then you're going to have deep curls on the outside at about 12 yards. Then you're going to have a flat, and you're going to have a flat over here as well. So this is really good against cover 3, and that's what the Rams are running here. They're running cover 3 from a 3 high look, okay? And the read is going to be 1, 2, 2 to 3, right? Or, depending on which side Carr chooses. So the problem with this play is it's open, right? But there's pressure on the right side. And it's from both Trevor Penning getting drive back and Cesar Ruiz just not doing anything at all, pretty much, right? And in a perfect world, what would you like to see? You'd like to see maybe Carr run out of the pocket and hit one of these deep curls. I mean, you can see he had his pick of the litter on the deep curls, right? They were both wide open if there wasn't pressure coming from that right side. Now, Trevor Penning, ends up he gets drive back, but he still stays in front of his guy, right? But it's Cesar Ruiz over here who again kind of just doesn't offers nothing on this play, right? And Carr throws it to Kamara, and he ends up losing yardage on the play. So instead of a huge chunk that was open on either side, you end up losing 2 yards on the play, and it puts yourself in a bigger hole for the next play, which ended up being 3rd down. But let's look at it from the end zone view. Look at this pressure that caused Derek Carr to kind of panic, run around, and throw that loss of yardage. So boom, take the drop. You can see Penning getting drove back, right? But Cesar Ruiz, man, like you're getting paid a hefty amount of money. We can't be missing that badly with our hands. We just can't. The set isn't bad. We bite a little too hard on the inside move from the defensive lineman and gets our feet off track. Then we throw our hands, we get our hands swiped and ripped. And again, like with that comboed with Trevor Penning getting drove back, and then this defensive lineman coming around, Carr just kind of gets rid of it. Now, in a perfect world, you'd like to see your quarterback just continue to scramble out, but Derek Carr is not that mobile of a quarterback. But if he were able to, you see earlier here, the deep curl was wide open. So this is just the first example of a play that, it was a 2nd down and 8 early in the first quarter, and you might not think much of it, but it ended up being a drive killer instead of a huge gain. Then here, this is the very next play. There looks like they're trying to hit Pettis on this little speed out, and it would have been there, right? They wouldn't have quite got the first down, but they would have made it a 4th and short, and I assume Darren Ridgely would have went for it. But again, the pressure this time from the left side just kind of doesn't even give Carr a chance to get the ball off. So I mean, we take the snap. The Rams run a game up front, and I mean, you know, let's take it back. I guess Carr actually could have probably released it like right now instead of just waiting and waiting and waiting. But nonetheless, the pressure got there. I mean, yeah, Carr probably could have got this thing off if we're being completely honest. Back foot hits. He's waiting, waiting. Still hasn't thrown it. Still hasn't thrown it. And he waits until there's a guy hitting him to get rid of it. We know how that one ended up. But nonetheless, the pressure, the stunts up front, not passed off at the level that we need. So paying attention over here to the left side with Saldivari and the center Shane Lemieux, who is obviously filling in for um, Eric McCoy. So he sets, and this guy he has to just be able to get over there quicker, right? And we're gotta put it into context and think about who the Saints are working with on their offensive line. Like this guy and this guy should not be on the field, to be completely honest, right? And then even in this game, they ended up losing this guy and brought an even worse guy in. But that's beside the point. The stunt here is just not passed off at the level that it needs to be. So let's press play. See Lemieux, Saldivari. I mean, just loses. He just loses, right? And Lemieux also doesn't do the best job. Gets completely knocked back. Carr, ball gets hit. Boom. And that's all she wrote for that drive. So again, the play was there to be made. The receiver was open. Carr a little late on the throw, right? Back foot hits. Ball needs to be out now. Not waiting. Why are we waiting? It's open. And then by the time he throws it, it's too late. Pressure's in his face, and the drive is over. All right, next one we'll look at here. This one, another third down that the drive ends because of this time user error, right? Alvin Kamara. I don't know what's got into him lately, but he has been really iffy on the catches, right? The Saints, you can see right there. Would he have picked up this first down? I don't know. You tell me, right? We get the ball off. This guy is not in a position. We catch that. We can run. I think he's making that first down, right? The closest guy is him. He can make a move. He can cut inside. He's going to pick this up if he is able to catch this ball. But like I said, here lately, listen, I know he's a fan favorite. He's one of my favorite players of all time, but he has been extremely iffy with his hands lately, and that's always been a huge part of his game. With the receiving game, but for some reason here lately, he's had some butterfingers. Right, the Saints initially, they're looking for the receiver up top. On a deep shot, but the Rams cover it well. You're going to have a deep shot down here as well. Um, but like I said, the Rams play it really nicely. The Saints offensive line does a nice job of picking up what the Rams are trying to throw at them. Now, obviously, Jared Verse on a tight end, not the greatest matchup in the world, right? But Derek Carr also can't just stand back there and not step up in the pocket. But none of that really matters because he does get the ball off eventually to AK, and he just doesn't catch it, right? And that right there, again, another drive killed because of a mistake. This time it comes from one of the Saints' best players in Alvin Kamara. All right, another third down here, and this is the kind of play that just drives me insane with Derek Carr. Some of the stuff he does in the pocket it just drives me nuts, man. Like he's gonna bail out of this thing, right? He's gonna bail to his right and just throw it away on a third down. Man, is it I guess, I get it. We're all spoiled with watching Drew Brees pocket work for the better part of 2 decades, right? But man, like maneuver over here. Like look at this wall that's built for you. Maneuver over here. Actually work the pocket, right? I know you drilled this in practice. I know you've drilled it your entire life as a quarterback. Work over here. Right, there's no concept, and why are we scrambling to our right? There's the concept that you can come back to on the backside is over here with the high low, right? And what they're trying to do, the Rams are going to end up in cover two, and it's a good play call versus cover two, right? So um you're gonna have Jawan, or you're gonna have Taysom come on this little sit, and then you're going to have Jawan kind of wrap behind it, and they're reading a high low on this hook and middle player, right? And the Rams actually cover it up nicely. You're also going to have like a fade out here, and over here on the backside, which is what Carr should have worked back to, you're going to get a flat and you're going to get a corner, right? Typical cover two beater. You're reading the cloud, and you're going to high low this guy. And instead of working the pocket over towards his left, right? Our first read here, it's fine. It's not there. The Rams actually cover this nicely. It's not there, right? But again, instead of working back to the backside concept, we run out of what is essentially, it's not a perfect pocket, but it is one that you can certainly work with at the NFL level if you actually don't panic at the mere sight of pressure and run out of it, right? So again, if he works back to his left, he can high low this guy right here. He can hit the receiver right here on the corner. I mean, that's going to be an easy first down. But again, instead, Derek Carr, it's just who he is. It's what he does at the mere sight of pressure. He panics, he runs, and it's just thrown away and another third down drive killer. And here it is from the end zone view, right? You know, I get it. The center allows interior pressure, but man, just go and work the pocket to your left. He builds the wall over here. You can come over here and have time to hit Cedric Wilson on that corner, man, instead of just panicking and rolling out. But I digress. All right, next one I want to look at here. This is another third down. And this time the Rams are just going to be in straight man coverage, right? And this is pretty good defense from the Rams, right? Nobody's really open. Maybe you can take a chance on Jawan here coming on this over route, but the time isn't there. The pressure is too much. Carr has to bail, and he just kind of chunks this thing. And Moreau makes a crazy catch out of bounds, but obviously it was out of bounds. But this play, good defense from the Rams, but I want to focus more on the pressure up front, which caused Carr, to have to bail the pocket. And let's look at number 70, Trevor Penning, right? And for all of the progress he has made this year, and he has made a ton. I mean, a ton of progress. I can't stress that enough. His biggest issue still stands. His strike timing is still way off. He needs to speed that up in his head a lot. He strikes way too late with his hands, and that causes the defender to be able to get into his chest and drive him back way too often. You can see here exactly. I paused it at the perfect moment. Look at Trevor Penning's hands. They're on the back of, I believe it's Jared Verse. If not, yeah, it's Jared Verse. And Jared Verse is just in his chest. He has a lower position, and he just drives him back into Carr, and Carr has to float and get rid of it, right? But again, that is Trevor Penning's biggest issue right here. There is nothing really else. I mean, there are still times where he oversets or maybe undersets a little bit, but that's every offensive tackle that isn't Lane Johnson still does that, right? But Trevor Penning, if he can clean his strike timing up, see how he's just a tad late with his hands, right? Like a tad late. And it causes him to slip outside and he misses and he gets drove back. If he can clean that up, he'll be a pretty good player. But as of right now, it is still his biggest glaring issue. And it pretty much ruins the chance at going for Juwan Johnson on this play that would have resulted probably in a first down. As you can see, Juwan right here ended up running away from his defender. But who knows? Nonetheless, another third down that was failed on the Saints' part. All right, so here, this is the final play, right, where the Saints had a chance to, score and possibly tie the game. So here's what I find interesting about this. So MVS, Marquez Valdez Scantling, he said after the game that the Saints initially lined up in a play to beat zone, right, and then I guess Carr sends Jawan Johnson in motion, and then he checks the play into a man beater. So something that Carr seen made him think that this was going to be man coverage. And right there, you can see he changes the play and he checks into a man beating play, right? And I don't really understand that because, usually you'd send the tight end in motion and you'd see if a guy would follow him, right? In this case, nobody follows him. They just bump over. And that, along with the DBs looking towards the quarterback, right? You can see he's not looking at a man. He's not looking at a man. They're looking at the quarterback. These are all indications of zone coverage. So, whatever play they had called first, I would say they had the right play called, right? But whatever something Derek Carr seen, he changes the call to a man beating play. And again, this is all according to this guy right here, number 10. He said that Carr changed the play to a man beating play. And you can definitely see that post snap. So I guess what Carr is hoping for here is you're gonna get MVS down here. He's going to kind of, run this little short slant sit, whatever. And then you're going to get Pettis on the corner. And it's clear he's looking for Pettis on the corner. He's hoping that if these guys were in man coverage, then they get a bump or a rub, and then Pettis would come free. Juwan's also going to come out here and run. And he's going to come open, right? He throws his defender down. And that's what Carr says at the end of the game, that he had a guy open. He's talking about Juwan Johnson, right? But it's just, again, I don't know why the play was changed, but let's let it run through so we can see what exactly happened. So there, boom, Derek Carr changes the play, check, whatever, right? Hut, you can see he's looking this way, right? He's looking this way. He's expecting, there to be like a pick or a rub between these four guys. And he's expecting Dante Pettis to come open in the end zone. Okay. So you can see right there, eventually, or right off the snap, you can tell, okay, they're going to be in zone coverage, right? So it's like, uh-oh, right? Carr, he gets off of that. He moves around. He sees Juwan Johnson throw his guy down and come open, and that was going to be a touchdown. The referee didn't throw a flag, even though he could have, and it hurts to watch us back, right? Half a second, maybe not even half a second, a millisecond more, and Carr gets this thing off to be a touchdown. So, but another point or another part of this is people are upset that the protection was left Foster Moreau versus Jared Verse. And to be completely honest, it's not a bad job by Moreau against Jared Verse. Is it ideal? Absolutely not. But he had about a little over 4 seconds to get this ball off. And I feel like just again, one of the main issues with Carr is he sucks in the pocket, right? He takes his drop, right? So come on, speed this thing up here. He takes his drop and he just kind of stands like a statue. He doesn't really move up. He doesn't step up, right? So boom, we're at our drop. We're kind of just floating our feet, hopping up and down, hopping up and down. We move a little bit, right? But we're still at the same depth as where we took our first drop. We don't step up at all, right? And what does that do? That just gives you a quicker, that just gives Jared Verse a quicker path to the quarterback to knock this ball out, right? So, there's a number of things that went wrong on this play. I think they should have stayed in the zone beating play instead of changing it to man. I think that ideally, you don't want your tight end blocking the edge, but I think he did a fine job, right? Because, and I'll talk about it when I go when he gets to the end zone view. But I think Carr has to step up and do a little bit better job in the pocket and get this ball off. And he has to be he has to know that he has a tight end blocking an edge out here. Even though, again, I will say Moreau, everybody's hating on this right now, but he did a fine job on Jared Verse. He did a good enough job. Carr had 4.1 seconds to throw this ball. That's plenty of time to get this thing off, considering the play call and whatnot, right? So the Saints protection wise, it looks like they are, well, obviously they're sliding to the right. So you're going to have Moreau end up on Verse. You're going to end up these guys out here for these guys. And what the Rams do is they run a creeper pressure, right? So they're actually going to end up dropping number 97 out here. I believe it is that drops out. Let's see. Okay, so it's Carr changing the play. Yeah, so 97 is going to drop out, and then 56 is going to come on the blitz. So that's what you call a creeper pressure, right? When you drop one guy out, but you send another guy, and you're still only rushing four, but it still kind of messes with the offensive line. So now, in a perfect world, would you like to change this protection up? Sure. You could go just your traditional half slide. You could, if you still wanted to slide this way, you go boom, boom, boom. Even though this guy drops out, you'd have 67 on 56. You could send 75 to Fuaga, and you can have AK come and pick up 56 right here, right? And then everybody would essentially be accounted for. But that's not what the Saints do. They, go here, 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 scan out, and then Foster Moreau on the edge. But again, I want to reiterate, I don't feel like the protection was the cause of this play, the result of this play. I feel like there was enough time. I mean, look, right? If Carr even just steps up a little bit in the pocket instead of just staying at his initial depth, he probably would have had just enough time to get this ball off. I mean, let's look. Right? Okay, boom. Look. I mean, let's see where his back foot hits after his drop. Okay. All right, right here. This yard line. Let's see. See, he kind of just stays at that depth the entire time. And then boom. I mean, if he steps up even a little bit, he probably gets this ball off and it ends up being a touchdown. They tie the game, and who knows how it ends then. But that's how the game ended, and that's how this video is going to end. I appreciate you guys watching. Peace.